We know a couple things about titles around here, over there at the Toyota Center, if you will. Let's go, let's talk some Rockets with a man that's an analyst for us here at 790. You see and read his work on USA Today, he's Rockets Wire. Ben DuBose. Ben, good morning to you, brother. How you feel on Tuesday?
Oh, doing pretty good, especially since Dallas will not be equaling the Rockets in championship.
I know that means a lot to a lot of people. I actually picked Dallas in 6. What were your, going into game 1, what was your finals prediction?
I had Celtics in 6. I just think it's funny to see all the Ime Udoka talk on social media, and I get it. The jokes sort of write themselves on this, but the Celtics were going to win a championship at some point. I mean, to win 64, 65 games, whatever it was, in the modern NBA with all the parity that we talk about, it's just crazy how good they were. They've been good for basically 5+ years, the entirety of the Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown era. So it felt inevitable that at some point this group was going to get a championship. It was just a matter of when rather than if. So when they got to the finals with a mostly healthy roster, I got a little bit nervous when Porzingis left after game 2. But when they got to the finals with a healthy roster, it just felt like it was their time. They're the best team in the league. And on the balance, they've been the best team in the league for the last 5-6 years.
I've opened up the show, not sure if you heard it. Just on a humanistic level, the game last night, the outcome, the fact that the Celtics do now have Title 18, that's got to do something to the competitive fervor for Ime Udoka. I think the Rockets can benefit indirectly from Udoka's connection to the Celtics, and I don't know that he's changing his philosophies because of this, but I do think it's something to, like I said, add fuel to the fire. You put any stock into that?
Yeah, I do. I think he's someone that's competitive the same way the players are. And so even if it's lighthearted, look, they're not immune to the criticism, the noise. They know what's out there. So, yeah, the fact that the team he coached is going down this victory lap when he's not there and he's the butt of some jokes on social media, yeah, I'm sure that puts a little bit more, fuel to his fire to want to do the same thing in Houston. Doing it next year might be a little premature, but I do think that, it's going to keep him motivated to make sure that he gets there down the road as well.
Ben DuBose, Rockets analyst for us here at 790, joining us here on Next Up. Stan Norfleet, Gordy along here in just a little bit. All right, I want to continue talking just some parallels. A lot of conversation. Can Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, can they play together? What's Amen Thompson's role going to be? I am fascinated with the additions that Brad Stevens made to the core of Tatum and Brown. Could they play together? Could they not? I also think it is unique and something the Rockets can parse a little bit from. The Celtics did this without a first-team All-NBAer. Probably not where the Rockets are going to be in the next couple seasons. How are we going to do this? What does the future and putting themselves in position to contend for a Western Conference title and get into the finals for the Rockets, what does that look like stylistically?
Yeah, that's a really good point about the entirety of the Celtics team and the fact that while Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are good players, they're certainly not top 3, top 5 transcendent. But I do think there's some parallels there with the Rockets in that through this rebuild, and it's not to say that one of their young stars can eventually turn into, a Giannis-type player, but the odds are definitely against it. The Rockets did not come out with a Wemby, a freak prospect. And so I think seeing a team like the Celtics that has a lot of good players, a lot of very good players, not necessarily any transcendent ones, I think that's sort of an optimistic note for a team like Houston that, has a lot of very good prospects, but you don't have that Wemby. You don't have that LeBron-esque prospect that you feel like, okay, this is somebody who's going to be clearly top 3, top 5 in the league for a very long time. Because I think what the Celtics showed us is that even if you don't have a guy at the level of, Giannis, Embiid, Jokic, Luka, then you can still work. I mean, the regular season stuff translated. We talked about that. They won 64 games, and that ultimately translated to the playoffs, which it should, a sport with the longest postseason sample, the way the NBA does. But also just the fact that, that's no disrespect meant for Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, but the fact that you can be that good, including in the playoffs, even if you don't have that just transcendent type of player, then yeah, that's a really optimistic note for a team like the Rockets, because you can make all-star cases for guys like Alperen Şengün,
Yep.
for Jalen Green, for some of the younger guys for sure. And it's not saying they can't be true top of the line, but the odds are against it. And so I think what Boston did, and the way Brad Stevens put that team together, it shows you that the pieces fit well together, and the moves they did, bringing in guys like Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis to pair with Jalen and Tatum, you could be the best team in the league. You could be really good, even if you don't have that top 3, top 5 type player. And so that gives you just a lot more options when you're building out a championship team than the formula, it felt like 10 years ago when it was like, oh, you've got to have Steph Curry, KD, LeBron, whatever it may be. This is a much more, it's a model that can be replicated a lot easier for a team like the Rockets.
Talking with Ben DuBose, Rocket analyst for us here at 790. You also hear his pod, The Login Line, and contributes to Locked On Rockets occasionally as well. So appreciate Ben dropping by, talking some Rockets ball as we put the wrap on the Rockets, on the NBA season for 23-24, Celtics winning the title, and what that means for the Rockets moving forward. Let's do that. A week from tomorrow, we're going to have round 1 of the NBA draft. We'll be over at George R. Brown. I imagine you'll be around as well.
Yep.
Gordy and I got into it yesterday on the show, meaning the conversation. I'm okay with Reed Sheppard as a guy that can be a Sam Hauser. And I'm cheering for Hauser because he's a UVA guy coming off the bench, knocking down some shots for the Celtics. If that's what Reed Sheppard is, shooting 42, 45 and plus % for the Rockets, if he's selection, what are you hearing? What is the latest about what they will do at 3? And is Reed Sheppard still in contention for that spot?
Yeah, he's definitely in contention. The big question with Reed is how you reconcile the incredible numbers, the efficiency, shooting about 50% from 3, with the small sample, because he did it just 1 year off the bench at Kentucky, so it wasn't in a starter's role. It's just 1 year. He's also very small for a guy that would go at number 3 in the draft. So It's just how much do you trust the raw numbers, the analytics, versus, the context that it's 1 year, small sample, yada, yada. But he's in contention, and one thing that sort of boosts his case, in my opinion, a lot of people have compared him to a guy like Fred VanVleet, who is on the Rockets roster right now, obviously the highest paid player in that, elite shooter, but a little undersized, needs to develop as a point guard to, bring other things to the table besides shooting. So who better for Reed to learn from with his current, skill set than Fred VanVleet, a guy who went through many of those same challenges and that same developmental curve the last few years. So I think he's definitely in play. I think that the main lesson for the Rockets and what Rafael Stone is thinking over the next week, now certainly they'll look at trades, and who knows, now that the regular season, now that the postseason is over, then maybe unexpectedly you hear one of the big names asking out, but I doubt it. I mean, it's possible because the finals just ended. So if somebody's going to try to make a move to leverage out, and the Rockets will do their due diligence, we can hear about it the next couple of days. The NBA doesn't want stuff to happen during the finals, but I think that's an unlikely scenario, and it doesn't seem like there's that much interest in trading a ton to move up because it's not a great draft class, or it's not perceived to be at least. So the Rockets stay put. I think they've got to take best player available, because what you need to keep in mind is that as guys go into their second contracts by 2025, whether it's this offseason or next, by a year from now, Jalen Green and Alperen Şengün, assuming they're still here, they're going to be on much more expensive deals. Jabari Smith, Tari Eason the year after that, and then Thompson Cam Whitmore the year after that. So as this team gets more expensive, you're going to have to make some more business of basketball decisions. And so with that in mind, with an asset as high as number 3 overall, it can't be just about the fit now. I think you take best player available, and even if there's an overlap with a guy in your core 6, okay, well, things may change as the team gets more expensive, and they have to make, some more cutthroat decisions when it comes to how these guys fit, what the price tag is when they're not on their, rookie deals that are very cheap in the grand scheme. So I think they're going to go best player available. That could be Reed Sheppard, but I wouldn't rule out a Donovan Clingan or who I'm forgetting, Stephon Castle, or even one of the 2 French guys that they unexpectedly fall from the first 2 picks.
We will be monitoring what you have to say as it pertains to the Rockets and what they'll do a week from tonight. First round, NBA draft. Round 2 will come up on Thursday. Appreciate you dropping by as always. That is Ben DuBose of the Rockets Wire, courtesy of USA Today. He's also an analyst for us here at 790. Also the Log and Line Pod, as well as Locked On Rockets. Ben, we appreciate it, bro. We'll talk to you.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, man. Peace to you.